Terry here again. Anita and I have probably about 12 boxes full of memories. Regular moving boxes, not huge, but boxes filled with slides and brochures, photos, all those things that were, those photos that were printed still, or in slides that come from before digital cameras and phones that took pictures. So we have about a dozen boxes full of those. Then we have thousands of photos that we took with digital cameras or phones that are stored on the computer. So we have those thousands and thousands of just snapshots of memories. Well, I tend to be what I call a paddle boater. And for a paddle boater, you face forward and you paddle on. You just keep going. Others tend to be what I call row boaters, where you face, where you've come from, and then you pull the oars to keep moving. The row boaters say things like, how can you know where you're going unless you know where you've come from? So I tend to be more the paddle boater. Look forward, I don't think much, I don't review the past as much. So my challenge is to keep remembering the past, to learn, so history doesn't repeat itself over and over again. But Anita's more of a row boater. She likes remembering things and reviewing things. We started the project about a week ago of converting all the memories into digital form, putting them all computer, and then starting to put them in some sort of we're thinking about doing an eBook, where it talks about the different parts of our lives, different seasons, and then with links to different groups of digital photos. So it's interesting for me as a paddle boater to spend time, intentional time, an hour or two most days of the week, looking at the past. And they're all through each other. We'll let the dates on the photos sort themselves out, but going through and just converting them. We bought a scanner for printed photos that works very well. Got an app that converts slides into really surprisingly clear digital format. So just going through step by step, like the other day, a whole bunch of pictures from an Israel trip decades ago, most of which I just hadn't thought about. So it was interesting to go through and look at pictures of Jerusalem and remember those. And Anita's very helpful because she remembers basically the date and all that kind of thing, which I'd long forgotten. But it's good for me as a paddle boater to turn around, in a sense, and pay attention to the past. Think it through and remember and celebrate, and what did we learn, or how has our life emerged from that? How did that experience weave in? Taking pictures of friends and different aspects of our lives. But I wonder if you're more of a paddle boater or a row boater. Do you tend to review the past a lot? If so, do you feel like maybe you get stuck in it sometimes? Or if you're more like I am, a paddle boater, you keep paddling, but find it more difficult to anchor or to appreciate or to remember. I think one of the weaknesses that I face as a paddle boater is remembering to appreciate and say, the journey. The journey was good, or I have roots that are important, or to remember to appreciate those relationships, those seasons of life that taught me, that I struggled through, that I grew through. So each, I suppose, has a strength and a weakness. But I've accepted who I am, and it's led to a challenge sometimes where Anita's more the rowboater and I'm more the paddle boater. So it's like, how do we put those together? And I think there are real advantages that in this marriage we come from different areas, different ways of seeing life, approaching life, but it's also been challenging at times. But who are you? Which way do you tend to face? And how have you learned to, maybe as a paddle boater, to spend time as rowboating for a while? Or if you're a rowboater, when do you turn around and really approach the future as new and fresh and challenging, or thinking through planning? So I, as a planner, as a keep moving forward, learn to appreciate, learn to remember. And Anita, as a rowboater, learns to move on, to try new things, to take some new directions and so on. So advantages and disadvantages, potential or shadows to each one. But for me, it's important to just remember who I am and how to balance that out to make it more whole. But I suppose that's the way a lot of our personality profiles are. Learning to appreciate our strengths, but paying attention too to the sides that maybe are not attended to as much. That's what I'm thinking about today. Talk to you next time.